A meditation on 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9 and 10. And he said unto me, My grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. Therefore I take pleasure in infirmities, in reproaches, in necessities, in persecutions, in distresses for Christ's sake. For when I am weak, then am I strong. Have you ever made a commitment to God that you are going to seek Him regularly, daily, in prayer, in the Word, in meditation? Have you ever set some time apart that it's going to be exclusively His, just you alone with God? And after some time, the thoughts creep in. You're getting distracted. You're thinking about other things. You're thinking about doing something else. And so on. And so that's where I find myself sometimes. So I was reading these scriptures. My grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. And during those times when I'm feeling weak, when my resolve is dissolving, that determination, that resolution that I had is beginning to wane. The laziness is seeping in. The desire to give up and do something else is there. And so regret comes later. Regret when you've given in to the desires of your flesh, the impulses, the urges, the thoughts. When you give in to those, later comes regret. And so, if we can remember, my grace is sufficient for thee, that during that time when we're feeling weak, when we're not as resolved or determined as we had been, Jesus is saying, my grace is sufficient for thee. For my strength is made perfect in weakness. So when I'm feeling weak and I'm no longer that determined or that resolute to my commitment and to keep my word, He is saying, my strength is made perfect in your weakness. When you're weak and you're not as strong, my grace is sufficient. My strength is made perfect in your weakness. So that my attitude should be like Paul. Most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. Most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my weakness, in the times when I'm not as resolute, I'm not as determined, I'm not as strong as I was when I made that commitment to spend time with Him, to fast, to seek Him, to be with him. Most gladly, therefore, when I'm weak, when I'm feeling like this is enough, I don't want to do it anymore, I'm no longer motivated, most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in that weakness. Because a lot of times what happens is we feel guilty, ashamed. I'm not as resolute as I was. I'm not as focused. I'm more distracted. I desire to do other things other than what I'm doing. There's a sense of guilt, a sense of I don't measure up. I'm waning. But he is saying, glory in that, because now his grace will come in. His strength will be perfected in your time of weakness. You get to see his glory. You get to see and experience his grace to get you through those times when you are weak, when you're less resolved, when you're tempted to go somewhere else, do something else. You get to experience his strength, his grace to keep you steadfast, faithful to your word, to your commitments. For when I am weak, then am I strong. But if we give in to the temptations, if we give in to the desires at that moment that are causing you to sidetrack, if we give in to those and don't resist but yield, then we miss a chance. We miss out on seeing God work in us, seeing God work in our weakness. We miss that opportunity. So, right now, today is a day off for me. And I made a commitment to spend time with God, to spend time in his presence, in his word, in prayer, in meditation. And I have, by his grace, spent hours with him. But now I'm feeling a little bit weak, distracted. The thoughts are coming in. That's enough. You've done enough. You can quit. You can do what you want to do. But that's not the commitment I made. The commitment I made was the whole day. So it's really tempting to give up and to say another time I can do better. But this is when I'm experiencing the weakness. This is when I'm facing temptation to let up, to let go. If I give in to those weaknesses, then I don't get to see God work in my weakness. I'm not pressing into his grace. I'm not pressing in, seeking him for strength to keep me, to help me to keep my word, my resolve. So I can go one of two ways. I can not resist but yield to those thoughts, to the weakness of my flesh or my resolve, and give in to my desires, or I can press into Him, seek His grace, and see Him work in me, His strength, to go through this weakness on the other side and experience the joy of seeing God work when I'm weak. He made me strong to stay true to my path, stay true to my word. I can choose that route, and I get to see God work. And I can glory. I can make a choice to take pleasure, take glory, take pleasure in this weakness. I can look at it with those eyes. I'm feeling weak. I'm losing my resolve. I can look at that with, oh good, I take pleasure in this because I'm testing the Word of God. That instead of giving in, I'm going to seek Him even more. I'm going to remain close and focused on Him. And I know that He is not man that would lie. I know that His word is true. Therefore, His grace will be in me. He will be strong, and His strength will be made perfected in my weakness.